The truth occurs.
Hi, you guys. I'm no expert on Israel-Palestinian relations, but I just want to draw your attention to what's going on over there. Israel hammers Gaza with airstrikes, warns of ground operation. So from what I understand, the Palestinians had been sending some rockets, mortars into Israel. And so what Israel did in retaliation was they started bombing Gaza, like full-on military strike. And what they did was they killed the leader of the military arm of Hamas, whose name is Ahmed al-Jabari. They targeted the car that he was in specifically and assassinated him. That's the term that they used. And in the process, also, the children have been killed, including the 11-month-old son of the BBC Arabic journalist Omar Jihad. Now, Israel is, as usual, saying that they have a right to defend themselves and they have a duty to do what they're doing. And they're mounting a big propaganda campaign using social media like Twitter, of course, to justify their actions. And I found some interesting information on this Twitter. This is not an Israeli, by the way. This is Noam Shezaf. It says here, journalist and editor. And he points out a few things. He says, well, what is the assassination of Ahmed al-Jabari supposed to accomplish? Good question. And he also thinks that the strike on Gaza may have been planned in advance for strategic political purposes, and that it may have something to do with the upcoming election. And also that because the Israeli ambassador to Egypt was called back just before this, and there's an article here about that. It's on this Israeli newspaper site, and I translated it. Israel recalled its ambassador from Egypt before the attack. Now, I'll be honest with you, I really don't know that much about Middle East politics and Israel-Palestine relations, which I think I mentioned before. So if you read this and you can make more sense of it than I do, well, please leave me your comments about what you think all this means. What I can say about this, though, is that even though I'm half Jewish and I'm not anti-Semitic, obviously, I think this is really terrible what Israel is doing. They've got the Palestinians, in case you didn't know, which you probably do, they've got the Palestinians in a kind of ghetto, keep them cut off from the rest of the world, cut off from a lot of necessities of life. I know that they cut down a lot of their food sources, trees. They also prevent them from getting medical care. They make them wait at these crossings. Often women give birth in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. The babies die at the side of the road. Every time there's a strike on Gaza, a lot of children die because 50% of the population of Gaza is under 15. And they not only hit them very hard with airstrikes, but they use weapons like white phosphorus. Well, there's been evidence of that in the past. And so these people are just living under the worst kind of oppression and violence that you could imagine. And then they strike Israel with rockets, and then Israel just hammers them again. But you got to remember that Israel is occupying those Palestinian lands and building settlements there, and like I said, walling them in. And that this actually contravenes the Geneva Conventions. So they're actually violating established human rights. They're violating those conventions, which basically makes them war criminals. That's just a fact. And what I don't understand is why Israel can keep doing this. No other country could do something like this. I mean, you know, like I said, I'm half Jewish. But you have to look at this and admit what's happening. Israel is occupying lands and putting people in walled ghettos. Doesn't that remind you of things that have happened in the past that we say should never happen again? So why are they happening to the Palestinians? Now, I know that there have been peace talks in the UN before, and I know that, well, from what I hear, it's always the US that vetoes any kind of agreement, gets in the way of any kind of peace between Israel and Palestine, from what I understand, with my limited understanding. So I wonder whether the globalists have a vested interest in keeping the conflict going. I don't understand all this. I don't know who's behind what and why they want to do this, but it's no good for the Palestinians, and honestly I think it's no good for Israel either, and something needs to be done. And I guess the only hope that we have is if we keep talking about it and keep showing the world what's going on there and raising awareness, maybe one day Israel will have to find another way to live alongside the Palestinians. Maybe one day they're going to have to stop what they're doing and find another solution. So I just wanted to draw your attention to what's happening. And thanks for listening to me. And I'll see you next time.